Hello and good evening, and a warm welcome to Rangers Radio. Tonight you've been joined by myself, GB. In the background there's a techie team, and our very own answer, Jack Butland. It's JM. How are we doing, JM?
Evening, mate. All good, thanks. Yourself?
Very well, bud. Very well. And again, another pleasing weekend with the Glasgow Rangers. I'll jump across you, mate. We've been joined as well by our swimwear expert, Jaffa. How are you doing?
Doing great, mate. Wonderful. Just working towards this 100 metres.
Keep going, mate. You'll get there. And as Ox says, our very own legend, the Bridge man. How are we getting on, Bridge?
Oh, guys, thank you for introducing me to that. It's really nice of you. Can I just say a big good evening to yourself and, of course, the boys in the background looking after you. The techie side of things, and, of course, JM and my good friend from South Africa, Jaffa. How are you doing? Is everybody doing okay?
Yeah,
very good, thanks, mate.
All doing right. Can I just say to all the Rangers fans listening in all over the world, good evening. Welcome to Rangers Radio.
Always enjoy that wee intro. Brilliant, Bridge. Lads, good to hear he's in positive voice. Another good win for the Rangers at the weekend there with Livy. The scoreline was only 2-0, and probably people looking at it would have thought that it was a struggle for the Rangers. But JM, for me, it was quite a dominant performance. A scrappy game, but again, I didn't feel as if we're ever out of control in that game. JM, your thoughts, bud?
Yeah, no, it was anything but a scrappy performance. Uncomfortable performance, was it? It was very comfortable for us. I thought we played very well. Good result, especially with the turnaround after Thursday. Thought we were very much in control. I know it was positive. Livingston has been proven to be a tricky place to go in the past, even though I think maybe they've dropped their standards a little bit with the conditions of the pitch. It's still not an easy place to go, especially with a quick turnaround. So happy with the result. I think we've lost the main man there.
Yeah, it was a decent result, JM. I thought the performance, as you quite rightly say, after Thursday night, where they really took a lot out of the team. I think it says a lot about the stamina and the actual kind of application of the squad. I thought bringing Tom Lawrenson was a good move. I really do think it was a great performance. I think it was deserving. I think 2-0 flattered Livingston, in my opinion. When the amount of goals that were chopped off, and I know a few of them were correct, but there was also one or two that probably should have stood. So for me, it was a good performance, but it's a difficult place to go. It's that pitch is horrendous, isn't it?
That is, sorry about that, Jaffa. Bridgeman, your thoughts, bud?
Much like the boys, I think the scoreline absolutely flattered Livingston. I think the referee was very, very kind to Livingston on a number of occasions, and unkind to us sometimes as well. But I think it was a well-deserved win. We'd have scored 3 or 4, maybe 5 or 6 even. Nobody could have batted an eyelid. And Tavernier once again misses a penalty, which is quite strange when he misses one and then all of a sudden he gets another one and he pops it in, So I'm afraid our enemies will continue to bicker away about anything good that we do or any good results that we get, and we have to just rise above it all and just march on. Well done to the Rangers, by the way. I thought it was a super game for us to win. Tough game with Livingston, we know that, and the pitch. Don't forget their pitch. So well done, Rangers.
Can I just get your thoughts on the VAR as a whole for that game? Decisions and stuff like that. I think some of them were always correct, but other ones a bit dubious.
Was that me?
Sorry.
JM,
sorry, Carl.
That's no bother, Rich. Yeah, I think in whole, if you're looking at it as a complete neutral, which obviously we don't, I think VAR for the whole game is a bit of a mixed bag. Obviously, the first goal for us lightly chopped off. Obviously, I think rightly chopped off. Dess is in the middle of the goal. Okay, he doesn't touch it, but he clearly unsights the goalkeeper. Helps him, maybe contributes to him fumbling it, allows the first goal. So got no problem with that. And then obviously you can maybe argue the other way. If we say to give credit to the, if we, be a bit nice to McCausland, maybe he went down a little easily. I think it was cute. Maybe the boy forgot he was on telly and now has VAR watching him. Maybe something he can get away with midweek at the under-20s, but it was never going to happen there. So, that went in. That could have been an argument the other way. But then for that, for the second goal of ours to be chopped off, I don't actually blame VAR for that. I think it was refereed wrong. Because I heard him saying at half time about how they thought they refed it rightly, but with him obviously blowing the whistle to give the foul, VAR's then got to find a reason to chop it off. And Seaman does have hands on him, even though it's not enough for a foul. VAR can't overrule that. So I actually blame the referee in there over the VAR itself.
Agreement. And the thing is, like you say, is they're looking for a decision into it. So any contact, as we've seen with McCausland's, then they've got to give the decision into it.
Well, exactly. Yeah. To be fair, it's the exact same the other way, isn't it? As the penalty, VAR couldn't say it clearly wasn't a penalty. They might have touched it. There might have been a touch, but he did go down a bit easy, didn't he?
It was for anything. I thought he was going to do a forward roll.
It was one of them, wasn't it?
But Jaffa, it's a thing that again we've been saying as a team. We've got to do the dark arts as well. Any other team out there keeps staying it to us as well. So it's about time we kind of, played to the rules of the game.
Absolutely, GB. I think we, even at the game last Thursday night, there was areas of the park we could have, really start being cuter. And I think it wins you fouls, and it's such an important part of the game now. You see it across Europe in particular. But yeah, I think that's a great point. I think we are getting better at it. I think clearly Clement and the team behind the scenes seem to be focusing a lot more on that. I noticed the throw-ins are much more assertive. They're more, I think we were chatting about this one night on the show. We were still kind of lobbing the ball to waist height, and letting it bounce in front of players rather than getting it right into their feet, into their legs, and letting them control the ball. So the ball's dead and it's not two touches to get moving way up the park. So there are things I can see creeping into the team. But we still need to do a lot more of it. Todd Cantwell getting himself mixed up into guys nibbling at him and stuff like that. I think Todd's got to knock that out of his game and just concentrate on his football. Superb football, and I think Todd needs to kind of just wind that bit in a wee bit on him and concentrate, as I said, on his football, because I think that's everything that's great about Todd Cantwell. I think he can influence the game. He doesn't need to do that, to be honest with you. But there's, that park. I can't believe that passes as an elite football stadium pitch. I think the most important thing that came out the weekend is that we didn't have any injuries from it. For me.
Aye, Jeff. And the good thing is, with Camargue announcing that they're going to be going back to grass, the pressure's on, like say Livingston, I think, because, like they says, they'll be the only team probably kicking about with it. And I don't know. Hopefully, the noise will keep coming to push these pitches out the game, especially in the top league. Bridgeman, refereeing decisions, VAR decisions. This is right up your street, mate. Fire away, mate. Give me your thoughts.
I think everybody knows the Bridgeman says, get VAR in, but it's not VAR you got to worry about, it's the people that are running it. And the people that are running it are the same people that have been refereeing our game so poorly, particularly over the last decade. Absolutely shocking decisions. And the shocking decisions continue, and the shocking, how can we say it, revelations by VAR continue along the same vein, where they're not looking at the same angles as you watching on the TV. The TV shows you one angle, and they think that's 100% penalty, or whatever, a penalty against us, it doesn't really matter. But somehow or other, our VAR, people that are running VAR, either throw a blind eye at it, and all probability that's what's happening. They don't agree with it, or whatever. We've been through this without VAR, we've been through all this before with the referees, and I'm afraid that our enemies across the city have managed to get away with it for years. Years and years and years. They've always seemed to get favourable decisions or bad decisions that went the other way. You know what I mean? So they would miles offside, but somehow or other, the goal that goes in, miles offside, but the referee didn't see it, and the linesman didn't see it, so they can't give the decision because they never saw it. and everybody else in the world sees it and they're laughing. So these are the kind of things. VAR's magic. I love them. I love it when the decisions come in for offside, even if it's against us. Because one thing I always enjoyed doing is when you can catch someone offside, get them offside, and that's it. The referee gives you the decision. It's wonderful. But see when he doesn't it, or you get it all wrong, or whatever, you don't know what to do, and it can make a chance for them. No, for me, VAR's great. Please keep it going, but get it right. Please get it right. Get the right people in, because some of the people we've got running VAR at the moment are the same referees have been making the same mistake for 10 years. Sorry to say that, guys, but that's how I feel.
No, Bridger, in fact, you answered that a question I was going to come on to, and I'll take it to Jim first. Jim, the VAR, our manager came out and says that he's for VAR, he supports it. But overall, for what you've experienced so far with VAR, Jim, is that a yes or a no? Would you keep it?
Yeah, I'm all for VAR. I think eventually, obviously, I've had it a bit less than the English Premier League as well, and they're still getting their controversy. I think it brings other controversies that you had never had before, but I'm all for it, especially with your offsides and your handballs, stuff that are almost definite. So I think it needs to stay. But as Bridgeman maybe alludes to, we need to not only do we need more competent probably officials, but we need more competent men actually operating the VAR as well. But hopefully that will come. But I'm all for sticking with VAR.
Jaffa, mate, would you stick with it or bin it?
No, I'm in agreement with which I am. I would keep VAR, Gary. I just think it, like all technology, there's still humans operating it. I think we've got basically quite a lot of people who don't know how to operate the technology in Scotland. As well, I think in other countries, I think VAR's here to stay. I think this, as I said, it's like all technology; it will improve, it will get better, and they'll find better ways to implement it. But that's I mean, listen, it isn't just our league. I know you cast your eyes across the border and you look at the EPL and we see decisions all the time. Arsenal last week going crazy about a goal at Newcastle. The goal there was about 3 incidents involved that it should have been chopped off on, and they still passed it. And when you go back and you look at it, and we've had incidents like that as well. Of course, just at the weekend there, as Brian was talking there about the goal from. Yeah, there was Sima was on the defender, but we were also getting fouled in the box. But he blew for it and it goes against you. But I do think it'll get better. It always puzzles me that when we have VAR, in particular in Europe, we never really seem to have these the same level of contentious decisions as what we have when it's in the SPFL. And that always makes me the cynical bit of me go, why do we always appear to have the real kind of blatants, the Kevin Clancy decisions, the Willie Collum decisions? I think Bridges has nailed it. I think it's the problems. It's the same individuals that are operating the technology, and that's where my concern lies.
Jaffa, could it be that they just need to make it simpler? Because, like you're saying, in Europe, they usually only focus on offsides and the penalties and the occasional, let's say, maybe bad challenge or something like that. I mean, it's like you says, the decisions that they're really looking at is like ones, so let's say, either the penalties or the offsides and stuff. So, is it just about maybe just keeping it simple rather than trying to dig out every single thing that happens in a game?
Absolutely, Gary. I totally agree with you there. It's exactly that. I think they need to keep their nose and know where to look and where not to look. And I think that's why sometimes I think all of us, when you're at a match, when there's like too much VAR, it almost, I don't know, it kind of turns it a bit into I don't know, it just turns it into a funny experience. It's not as if you're at a football match, when the game keeps stopping and starting. And I think that's probably the secret to it. I think we all know when VAR, even as fans, you see it and you go, well, that needs looked at. But I think in Scotland, I think we're re-refereeing games and refereeing incidents and periods of games, and I've got my own thoughts on that, and I know it's cynical, but I think we talk about the dark arts. I think the dark arts are definitely playing Scottish football.
I think one team's club captain in Europe said they actually get away with more in their country with her. I don't know which one that was, but I believe that was said in an interview. So,
yep, it's set in stone. That
it's set in stone. They get away with more in their country than they do in Europe.
That was classic, wasn't it?
You couldn't write. We couldn't write it, could we?
Only in Scotland, mate. Only in Scotland.
Can I just finish? Can I give you one more point on that? VAR is obviously an electronic assist for the referee. It's supposed to be an assist for the referee. But a wee point that somebody made a wee bit earlier, it seemed to be re-refereeing the game. That's what seemed to be doing, particularly in Scotland. And it's no for that. It's for picking up the points. I would like VAR to be used all over the pitch, particularly free kicks, and start to highlight some of the real bad free kicks that go on. Not waiting a referee. See, the referee's not watching or just ignore it and go on. It's a Rangers player, it doesn't matter. Just carry on. That's what I feel they do. And they've been doing it for years and getting away with it for years. We haven't done anything about these things. We've never said a thing. And you look what happens at the weekend. I believe the wee Furiashi guy got a bad knock on his head, and they're coming out and accusing. There's accusations coming out anyway, underhanded accusations. It might have been right, it might have been wrong. I'll tell you now, Danilo got injured. That was no accident. No accident. That guy was 2 yards late, 2 yards, wasn't even looking, just smashed right into the good player. And that's probably what's happening all over the country.
Well, it is a phone-in show, and it'd be good to hear for the Bears tonight. Like it says, all things Rangers, so give us a call.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
What I say is it's just to kind of get a wee bit of debate there on the VAR, because it's been in a wee while now, and for me, I think what I say is if they just keep it simple, hopefully, what I say, they can maybe focus on, I say, penalties and offsides, that and maybe what I say, goal line or whatever technology, that kind of stuff. Everything else, I think, is just kind of the love of the game, isn't it? You want you want all that kind of the argy-bargy stuff. I mean, the thing with Golson as well, with his goals, and that, again, I think that's a keeper's mistake. You know what I mean? I don't think, like, I know Dessers was proven to be offside, but at the end of the day, like, they kind of things happen all the time. I think there's other things like, say, McCausland. It's good to kind of give the referee that decision to make. You know what I mean? Is there contact? Is there no contact? You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So I think there's moments for VAR. But there's moments I would just like to see proper football back. JM?
Yeah, you don't want to lose the intensity of the game, especially the Scottish game. You know, it's meant to be quick 100 mile an hour. You're going to get players, running into each other, tackles that look later than they are, especially. You're seeing quite a lot, especially in England over the last few weeks, where as soon as you slow anything down as well, it can look a lot worse than what it does. You don't want to get into everybody being booked all the time and you lose the competitive edge, because obviously, for every time you get a bad tackle on you, you might give one out yourself, and we end up going down to 10 men as well. So I agree with you. You want to still keep that aggression in the game.
So we're all quite happy then with the result then. 2-0, a hard ground to go to, Jaffa. 2-0 result, up the road, and we go into an international break full of confidence.
I think it was exactly that, GB. I think it was brilliant on the back of what has been a tough schedule, let's not be kidded, and also stretching the squad. So, and it's good to see as well that he's managing to introduce some of the injured players back into the fray. Guys like Tom Lawrence, as I say, who I think had a big influence in the game at the weekend. That was a positive. So, yeah, I mean, as I said at the start, 2-0, I think, flatters Livingston. I think probably a more appropriate scoreline would have been 4, maybe even stroke 5-0. But taking everything into consideration, 12 o'clock start after a very late finish on the Thursday night, I think it's a great result, and on we go to the international break, and keep intact the manager's record, which I think's been an absolutely brilliant start to his Rangers career.
And Jaffa McCausland, man of the match, happy with that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, saw him on Thursday night. He come on, really influenced the game, and he done the same again at the weekend. And that right wing position, as we've all spoke about so many times on the show over the years. Could he be the guy that would fill that right wing for us? And let's hope we can also get him tied down to a new contract as well, GB.
Aye, I know. I think with these chances coming, Jaffa, there could be a good possibility, because the boys are starting to see a pathway, hopefully, yeah?
Absolutely. And again, credit to the manager. He said that he would do this, and he's identified young McCausland, and I think a couple of other young fellas that are sitting in the, between the kind of B team and the first team, and he's really seen some potential in them. And I mean, listen, see, when you're a young fella playing football, and I think we've all experienced this, all you want is your manager to believe in you and give you a try, just to give you a chance. I've had high hopes for McCausland for a while. I think just his stature and his build and everything, his ability, his speed and his pace and his desire and hunger. I think he's got his head screwed on right, and I think he's a really nice young fella, and he just wants to go on with making a name for himself in football. And I believe Stephen Davis is one of his mentors, and I think you can actually genuinely see a lot of Stephen Davis, and he's him as a human. I think you can see a lot of that composure, and I think that's a great quality to have. Listen, McCausland's got a great future ahead of him, that's for sure.
JM, man of the match was McCausland. Happy with that, or was there anybody else that stood out for you?
McCausland was the standout, and let's be honest, they're pretty average to watch game. I thought McCausland was a standout of a bit of quality. Tom Lawrence showed a little bit, but a bit like the Dundee game as well a couple of weeks ago, tricky place to go. I was actually really impressed with Leon Balogun as well. I thought Hibs were playing Livingston. I thought Livingston again were going with the two big guys up front, trying to be physical and whatever, and they had a little stage for about 10 minutes or so, and I was just really impressed with how Balogun sort of put that threat away, dealt with all the big headers and got rid of it. But I'd still give McCausland man of the match, yeah. But I was impressed with Leon Balogun and Tom Lawrence as well.
Bridge, your thoughts, mate? McCausland man of the match, but there's JM touching on a defender for you, Balogun.
Yeah, I thought Balogun had a very good game. I think the whole defence were very good, considering the pressure they could be put under. But when that team got it, and Livingston got it, they like the these big long throws in, corner kicks and any free kicks. They know that most teams would be under pressure against large centre forwards and defenders coming up. So that's what they like to do, and it causes different pressures. So Balogun, I thought, played a very, very good game, but I thought that the Golson along with him was very good. But I think Golson did a bit more attacking than Balogun did. I would suggest a young lad, for me anyway, he's my man of the match. I thought he was excellent. Great show, and unfortunately for him, he scored a fantastic goal. Unfortunately, it was chopped off because of something one of the players seems to have done. So as far as I'm concerned, I would give it to McCausland, but Balogun not far behind. And may I say, as I said, Golson not far behind that either. That's the way I see it.
JM, do you think the decision to obviously appoint our current manager was that he was a guy that brings on youth, he gives them a chance if they're good enough, and is it maybe been that we've been too cautious in the past with specific managers, Gio, Beale and Gerrard to a certain extent? I know there was a lot of pressure at points, different points for Gerrard and that, but is it just that way that we've just got to give these youth players a chance? And I mean, like the manager says, McCausland's 20 now. You know what I mean? We had players, I think, during Gerrard's time that were 21, 22. You know what I mean? Challenging for a title.
Yeah, no, I think that was definitely part of it. I think it's especially the way the manager speaks about using the whole squad, and that obviously includes the young players. I think that's a big part. You can see it the way he rotated, 4 or 5 changes from Thursday night. especially with an international break coming up, he maybe didn't have to do that because, players have had a 2-week rest. But I think it is important to start using the young players. And we'll dive into it a lot more, I know, later on in the show about the financial report and whatever. But when you're looking at that player trading model and everything, with if we're going to sell players from our academy or look to make money on them, we've got to show that they're able to go in and play in a first-team environment. Now, I know not every player can start for Glasgow Rangers, but when they can, when they've got the ability like Ross McCaws, you've got to try and put them out there to perform for us, but you're also putting them on that transfer market as well.
Agree. Jaffa, your thoughts, mate, on it?
Yeah, I think it's I think getting young players into the team is for me it's key. GB, it's just the hunger that they bring into the team, and their desire. And I think it's like everything. You've got to have a nice blend, haven't you? You need the experience there as well, of course. But I think you make a great point about McCausland's age. I mean, at 20, he really should be making a go of it at this stage of his career. So I think he's done well. He's taken his opportunity, and that's all you can ask of him as well. And I think the fact that we as fans are all talking about him and quite excited by what he brings to the team, I think it's a great plus. I would also like to see Bailey Rice and probably even Johnny Afoko, who I think's got a great future as well. GB, so I would like to see those two, and I think he just signed a new contract, just an extension there. So. That's got to be a plus.
Yep, I know you're right, Jaffa. He did, and that shows that again. That would have been probably, I don't say it was a manager's decision or anything like that, but I'm sure he would have had a kind of overview of that before that got finally signed off. Bridge, again, have we been too cautious in the past just with the youth and maybe not just bled them through at the right time?
I think the situation with the club, the pressure has been on to get some results. And we've not had the manager with all the experience like this guy's got to be able to do these things. I think they were desperate. They bought in at times. They bought in instead of bringing it through, which is actually along the lines you're thinking. But I do think they had to buy in. They had to get experience in the squad. I'm afraid that I've not got enough experience because half the people I brought in have been injured. So it's really difficult. But it's lovely to see a boy coming through. We must, as a club, start to think, get the youngsters in through the academy, get them in, play them, do what you need to do, stick them into the season. But you need to have a good team in order to create that situation to allow you to do it. And you copy get other teams. As soon as their guys are ready for first team, get them in. See if they make it through first month or so, then they'll be in for the rest of the season. And if they're stars, they'll be sold on that end of that season. That's the way you should be doing it, I would imagine.
No, I agree, Bridge. I agree. Right, you touched on our manager. I'm just going to kind of move on to him since this is us moving into our international break. JM Jaffa, I'll come to you, JM first. The manager. So since he's with Spa, 2-1 with Hearts, 5-0 Dundee, 3-1 Hampden with Hearts, 2-1 at home against Sparta, and 2-0 away at Livy. JM, the manager, how's it started for him?
It's been fantastic, hasn't it? Now I think you could, especially of what we watched performance-wise with Beale. After Beale, the poor away performance, especially in Cyprus, new manager coming in, you could have hoped for a bit of a bounce back and maybe get a performance, but it wasn't looking like half of these players were suddenly capable of putting in these sort of performances either on a regular basis. We were starting to wonder what sort of squad we were with, and I think it's remarkable considering the amount of time he's probably had actually on the training pitch with his players, that he's managed to produce a squad of players. He's different players for different matches that can play in different systems, and picked up some very good results domestically and in Europe. I think it's been a very impressive start for him, and long may it continue. And obviously, it'll be, it's just exciting to see how much we can improve as he gets more times on the grass with the players.
Jaffa, would you have seen the results coming with the manager coming in, considering off the back of that St Mirren and the European result?
No. I, in all honesty, GB, I didn't. My expectations weren't quite where he's got us to in such an early space of time. Over what is it? What we're talking about, 4.5, 5 weeks or something. I'm delighted, of course. Don't confuse that. I'm absolutely delighted. And I think us as fans knew that a lot of those players the levels had dropped off significantly. But I didn't think he could have got us back to where we've got to. We've got into a final, which is tremendous. He's taken 4 points out of 6 in the Europa League, which is again tremendous. And we've gained a 2-point margin on the top of the table, the nearest rivals. Tremendous. And you couldn't ask for any more than that. 6 victories, 5 on the bounce in the league. Just really, really good. I mean, listen, I think we all have to just be aware that there probably will be a few we're not going to do it. He's not going to go through the next period without any bumps, and we have to get behind him, because I think we've all seen enough Philippe Clement and what he's doing and what he's bringing to the team. That press at the top, saw it on Thursday night. It was brilliant, GB. Honestly, it really was. It was like an orchestra playing. It was the way that the guys moved about. It was actually really nice to see. Brilliant. As good as I've seen at a press, with the two guys, with Lundstrom and Jack, both almost sitting in the 18-yard box. Sparta couldn't get out their own half. They changed it in the second half, and I wish we had reacted a wee bit quicker. I'm not going to lie. If I did have a wee bit of criticism on Thursday night, it would probably have been. But I take it that was down to personnel. I'm not for a minute having a pop here. I think it was probably just down to who was on the bench. But I think the manager's done tremendous, GB. I really do. And as JM said, I think it's a great point. The longer he gets with them, I heard them talking about the international break. He's going to be working with the guys in the background in the training ground. Music to my ears, mate. Music to my ears.
Jaffa, interesting times ahead, especially now that he's getting, like you say, a couple of weeks to proper see the players and probably take a breath as well, Jaffa, I think.
I mean, listen, GB, I think a lot about that, and I'm sure we all do. The guy's only a human being at the end of the day. He's only the same as us. He's got a family, and he'll have lanes and things to deal with at home, and dogs and cats and all the usual stuff. And my point there is he's got all the same issues going on, and he's moved over here to Scotland, and I don't know if his family's with him. I sincerely hope they are. Or he's got enough, allies and friends around about him that can support him at night time and stuff like that. Because that's really important, having that kind of structure in your life and that round about you. It's been a whirlwind. Let's not be kidding about it. Our club is just massive and it's all consuming. And listen, if he didn't know that beforehand, he certainly knows it now. I think he did know that, to be honest with you. I think he'd done enough research and he knew enough about us as a football player, about the kind of the goings on in central Scotland and what happens and how we operate as a club and as a, I guess as a, if you want, a religion and a lifestyle, the way we operate as Rangers Football Club. So I'm really grateful to Philippe Clement. I'm honestly, I genuinely am, for the challenge that he's taken on, and he's doing a tremendous job. And I think us as fans as well, I just want to get behind him and lend him my full support. And I've been doing that at the ground. I've been really getting behind everything that he's doing. So long may it continue, mate.
Oh, well said. Just to let you know, the wee poll that we put up on Facebook about VAR. I think we had Keep at 59% and we had Bennett at 41%. So we're still quite close. It's nearly 50-50. I totally get that. But we'll come back to that later. Bridgeman, your thoughts on the manager, how he started and stuff like that?
Well, first class, isn't it? I don't think there's a manager in their league who's done his first 6 games or whatever it is and unbeaten. It's amazing, absolutely brilliant. I think we've got him. Hopefully, we think he's got he's bit it. He's got the right, and the bug's in there. And I think he wants to do it well. And you can see his face he's pacing up the line there. he's really keen. He likes the players to do it and enjoy doing it and talk to each other after they've done it, and this camaraderie stuff. All the great stuff that a lot of the great managers we had instilled into the players. This is what you need to do. If you can't be part of this group, then you might not be part of the club. So you have to get in there and do what you need to do to be part of it and enjoy it, because it'll take you places. And that's what managers look like he's doing. He's taking Rangers as much as possible. He's taking them higher and higher, and it's really great. It's great to be a Ranger. It's great to listen to the guys and listen to you on the show. It's marvellous. A lot of people get literally a spring in their step. The manager's there, and they won't have any fear because the manager's there. He's going to sort everything out. So let's go and do that, Mr. Philippe Clement. Well done.
Chai, do you know the thing that I'm surprised that he's actually been able to fix as quick is the kind of the relationship between the players and the fans. I mean, I would say probably after that Hibs game of 4-0, I think that's when the fans were practically back on side, because I think in that game, they seen how the manager was going to set up, how he was going to play, and let's face it, it was night and day for some of the performances these players have been putting in. I mean, to go out and smash Hibs 4-0, I don't think anybody really expected that.
No, 100%, and it's not so much. Obviously, I think results always bide you time with, with fans or whatever when they see fans. But our fans don't get kidded on a lot. You saw it after the Real Betis win under Beale. We were happy with the win. We were kind of maybe surprised and shocked with the win, but fans still weren't happy with how we were playing in general. But I think it's just the way he's got the team playing that sort of 100 mile an hour. The team came out right away, looked hungry, high press, looked like we wanted to score goals. And I think more importantly, at times before, when we've been 2-0 up at half-time, we've came out at half-time and sort of just tried to hold on to the ball, stop the other team from scoring. But it was quite clear that we were coming out to score more goals. And I think especially at home, that really got the fans behind the team. So I think the fans get the idea that this manager's not only looking to win, but also looking to entertain and score a lot of goals as well.
Jeff, I think that's been the key, isn't it? I think Ox has touched on it before, that the defence has actually been running all right during the season. It's more the attack that's been absolutely poor. And since Clement's came in, he's been able to make that front four create chances. I mean, well, the full team create chances, but like I say, that front line now, it's just raining in the boxes and chances created and stuff like that, and assists and stuff. And even to a certain extent, the penalties that we're getting. I mean, they're doing to the players, like I say, trying to create inside that box.
Well, I think that's I think all of that's so true, GB, because obviously we're spending more time in the opposition half and right on the box in particular. I mean, I can't stress enough, and I think we've all watched it over and over. That first goal against Sparta last Thursday night by wee Danilo was absolutely brilliant. I mean, he robbed the guy. He robbed the ball off the guy. 3 touches. He brought it down with his right foot. Played the ball in front of him and then put it away with his left foot. Two-footedness, absolutely brilliant. It was just amazing to see. It was a great goal, great finish, composed. And then the second goal, it was all about Danilo as well, because the composure, he just waited that almost like a tenth of a second for the gap to open up in front of him so that he could play the ball through to Cantwell. Really tremendous striking, great footballing. Sima chucking in, he's terrorising defences. Doing some great work, and as I said, with young McCausland coming on the scene, and I guess the other thing as well is, and I know Big Dessers is a bit of Marmite for all of us. He's not everybody's cup of tea. I get that. We're still the jury's out on him, and I'm probably the same myself. I'm wanting the big guy to turn the corner. And I hope there is a player in there. I'm still dubious whether that's the case or not. He still, but he scored at the weekend, and he brought him on, put him in the team. He's got confidence to do that. He gave Danilo a rest. He's really getting all the players to buy into what he's trying to do behind the scenes, and I think that's a sign of a brilliant manager. A lot of the players want to play for him, and again, I've never played at the level these guys have played at, and I think when you get a dressing room that does that, and the camaraderie that's in there, where they're all fighting for each other and fighting for the points at the end of the day, as the manager often says, it doesn't matter who scores the goals. It's as long as we win. And us as fans, that's kind of our approach to it, isn't it? You know, we're not really that bothered who scores the goals. Just score the goals and make sure we get the points. And I have to say, one wee note on Ryan Jack. I mean, Ryan Jack's played the last 4 games. I was watching Ryan Jack again there on Thursday night against Sparta. I thought I was watching Franco Baresi at times. He was absolutely outstanding in the first half. He was brilliant. I mean, he really controlled the game. And I know probably one of these has just fallen off your seat there when I said that, mentioning Ryan Jack and Franco Baresi in the same sentence. But I mean, from a health point of view, I don't remember the last time Ryan Jack played 4 consecutive matches. But he started the last 4 games for us, and he's done really, really well. So, I mean, we kept getting told for many a time now that Ryan Jack could only play 1 game a week. Well, that's not the case, is it?
No. And I think that'll be music to our Andy's ears tonight, hearing that about Ryan Jack tonight.
Franco Baresi.
But Jaffa, you're right. And Bridge, since the managers came in, there has been a better consistency out of the players. Can you point out a kind of player that's been, more consistent since the managers came in, or totally transformed their performances?
Can we say? I think the second part of the managers come in, and a lot of players have transformed themselves. I think Ryan Jack got himself a bit bad reputation, unfortunately, because sometimes his play wasn't as good as it should be. Maybe he was carrying a knock, as we know he's prone to do. But I do think all the players, no matter who they are, they play for this manager. They actually play for this manager. And I know it sounded a wee bit far-fetched at times when Jaffa said he thought it was Franco Baresi, possibly the finest player or defensive player ever. I don't think Jack comes up to that. But I'll tell you what, I think he's been playing okay. I don't have any problems with him. Some folk don't like him, and we'll live with that. When he came to Aberdeen to the Rangers, I thought he was going to be Rangers captain. I thought he was going to be the Rangers captain because he was a captain out with them. But I'm afraid he got some terrible injuries, and he's never been able to get 100% of his form. But he'll always dig things out for you during the game. So I don't have a problem with Ryan Jack, actually.
Well said, Bridge, well said. JM, your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, it's just all about, it's kind of the Kemar Roof chat, isn't it, as well, Ryan Jack. I think Ryan Jack, we knew if we could get him playing most games each week, our team would be a lot better. It's always been kind of the component we've maybe missed, that bit of bite in the midfield, that bit of energy. I thought his energy on Thursday night was incredible, picking up the second ball, especially in the first half. I thought he was kind of the main point of the press that pushed Sparta back, what was really impressive. And even away at Dundee, he was up in the opposition box, getting the first goal and getting us on our way. So good to see Ryan Jack playing. And also, like Bridge said there, it seems to be a few of our players seem to be coming back a bit quicker than we imagined with this new manager. Obviously, we spoke about it to death about in regards to the manager wants this team to be fitter. He's maybe concerned about just in general the fitness and how the players are recovering after games. So there's one thing I think we can guarantee of his manager with the way he's doing his teams. Ryan Jack wouldn't be starting unless he thought he was 100% fit to start.
Jeff, I think that's the thing. Like it says, goals and wins and all that breeds the confidence. And I think when the players are seeing that, then there's a belief there how the manager's setting up tactically, how the manager's. Behind the scenes with some of the stuff he's saying that he wants them to be total athletes. He wants them in the gym more. He wants them in that cryo chamber thing more. He wants them not having as many days off with the sounds it with this international break and stuff like that. He wants them constantly focused and hungry. But the players will buy into that because they're seeing the results on the park.
Yeah, that's important, GB, because he has been saying stuff like that. Publicly, he's been talking about what they do when they're not at football, how they're living, what they're eating, what they're drinking. For me, it's in the way they push professionalism, and I think that's a good thing because he's essentially holding the players to account. At the end of the day, they're all adults, and they should all be looking after themselves. And it certainly looks like a lot of them have taken that information on board. And seen the results of it, GB, and I think that all bodes well as we move forward, and move into this sort of really important part of the campaign, the league campaign, a cup final in December. He'll want to win that, so this guy's a winner. I've heard him use words about him describing himself as a football freak and stuff like that. So, he obviously clearly is totally bought into the job, and I'm really pleased about that. I'm excited to see what he's going to bring, but as I said, I'm cautious, and I think the rest of us, I think we've sometimes been a bit over exuberant with how we've wanted, managers to do well, and this guy's really stacking up because the results are telling us that. He's really putting on performances. But I think there's a lot more to come, GB. I don't by any stretch of the imagination, I don't think he thinks that either. I think, January transfer window's coming round, you can start to hear mutterings in the background, with different players and bits and bobs coming out. So another part of the Philip Clement, I guess, if you want the Rangers test with the fans, is what kind of player is he going to bring in and what are we going to see? Is it all forwards, or is he going to start focusing on the defence? Because I still think there's parts of the team, GB, that need a bit of work done on it. Whether it be the middle of the park or whether it be the right wing, whatever he's going to decide to do. So that'll be interesting to see how he's going to piece that bit of the jigsaw together. So I'm really pleased about Philip Clement's start to his Rangers career.
I think anybody that can turn Scott Wright into a proper player and score goals in important moments and all the rest of it is definitely the Harry Potter wizard. It's the thing I like about it is that he's made Scott Wright hungry again. And I noticed how it kind of, I know the manager rested Cantwell in the kind of semi-final there at half-time and stuff, and he says it was obviously tactical and stuff like that, but the Sparta game, it must have gave Cantwell that kind of wee pick up the backside as well, that to know that his position's never always got to be safe. Because there's a guy there that's came on at half-time and scored a goal on form. And Cantwell knows now that when he goes in the park, he's got to keep his performances high to stay in the squad. So I think that's a good thing for the manager as well. He's kept them all hungry and improved certain players.
Yeah, Scott Wright playing well. Dessa scoring 3 goals in 3 league games. Something's not right, is it? Something's going a bit different there. Yeah, I think what's important as well, not only sort of the fact that players, like Cantwell and that know their position isn't safe. It's the fact that every player in the squad knows that if they train well and perform, that they're going to get their opportunity. If you're McCausland, Scott Wright, or whoever that may be, Balogun came in out the cold. I know Davies obviously picked up a knock, but we hadn't seen Balogun in ages, and he came straight back in. And obviously, I get the impression when you hear other people talk and when you hear maybe like the Lundstrom interview and the Butler interview, when they mentioned everybody's involved, you get the impression that maybe didn't happen under the last manager. So I think that's just bringing a more positive aspect to the squad in general, because at the end of the day, even though they're still being paid, footballers want to play or want to know at least if they perform, they're going to get the chance of playing.
That's it. I agree, mate. I think there's going to be that way that, let's say, if you're wanting to, I know the manager says it's not about 11 players, but at the end of the day, there's got to be 11 starting, and you're wanting to stay on the park as long as possible. And I don't think many players will enjoy getting substituted at 60 minutes all the time and stuff like that. Granted, the manager will do that for tactical reasons or whatever, but again, it just shows you, I think a lot of these players will bust their gut to be in the big moments and all that. Especially the way the fans are reacting. Some of the displays and the way Danilo and Cantwell and that are going round the park at the end of games and stuff like that, seeing the fans. I think it's absolutely brilliant how he's been able to get that bond back, Jayam.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it, the way he's doing it? I know he wasn't too amused with the celebrations at 2-0. after the goal. I think he wanted a bit more professionalism on that, which again I like. The ruthless streak. The job isn't done. It's only 2-0 after 20 minutes, half an hour. The game could change. It almost did. So I like the fact he's reminded him of that. But no, going back to what you said about the players being subbed, he's also alluded to the manager, especially after the Sparta game, how he wants a dominant performance for 90 minutes. So I think that also, especially with the modern game and 5 subs and how we should have one of the best squads we do have the best squad in the league. We need to be using them 5 subs. So I think that lets everybody know if you are on the bench, if you're training well, you're at least going to get an opportunity to give a good half an hour, sort of 25 minutes showing, which I think is a positive for other players as well.
Bridgeman, your thoughts on how the manager's going to keep this squad fresh and hungry? Do you think it's been something like this as we've been missing for a long, long time? I mean, that way, I think a lot of players kind of maybe fell into that kind of mode where they probably thought their position was safe in the starting 11. And like I say, it's probably because the players on the bench have probably lost confidence in their play, and yet there you go, a new manager comes in, you've got McCausland and Scott Wright and all that coming into form. And he's even, to a certain extent, done the wizard wand and got Kemar Roof back to a place where they could be fit after an international break. So it's all positive.
Yeah, because as far as Kemar Roof's concerned. Okay, can I just say that to our manager? He seems to have had some amazing effect on our players, because I think he's came out at the start, and I don't know if it was true, if it is true, but he's come out at the start and he said something like, we're starting from scratch. It's a blue sky, or a whiteboard, whatever he wants it, it's blank. Your chances there. Everybody get your chance to get there. Some players look as if they've responded really, really well. And I may say, just to get a game, Lammers and Dessers have done really, really well, scored a couple of goals. I don't know if they're, at the present moment, as fit as they would like to be, or Rangers would like them to be, or maybe they can't get any fitter. They have to do something else. But I do think some of these players, the young lad coming in, he's opened the door for the young lad coming in as well. And it's great. It's absolutely brilliant to see the youngsters coming in. I love it. Everybody loves it. Danilo got a terrible smash in his face. He's now come back. And as you said there's a minute ago, Kemar Roof's come back. So the beauty for our manager is at the present moment, we're going into virtually a 2-week break. And if he can get some of the people who have been, shall we say, injured, get them back in and ready to play, it'll be nothing short of miraculous if he gets them all ready to play. If he can get them ready to play, he's got quite a tidy squad of additional players that some of them, the fans haven't even seen them properly. Like the boy that came from Norwich? Is it Norwich City? Howell his name is?
I know, you're right, Rich. Dow.
Yeah.
Aye, that's right.
So, Dow, sorry, apologies. So he's a tidy player, no doubt about it. My only concern, and I'll give you this with the heart, and I love him in bits, Todd Cantwell needs to watch what he's doing. He's not going to be able to do some of the things he's done and get away with it. He'll not get away with it. He'll get a straight red card. He could have got a straight red card the weekend. Dead easy. He could have got a straight red card for that stupid nonsense. Don't get me wrong, I'm not blaming him for maybe he's facing up to the guy and defending himself, but he did it the wrong way, as far as I'm concerned. Wait to get in the tunnel and batter him. Simple as that. And for me, anyway. I'm not being funny when I say that. He is going to end up getting a straight red card for all the nonsense, and the manager will be raging.
Aye, Bridge, I think the manager will be able to manage. I think he's even probably had a wee word in his ear about sometimes the social media stuff with the kind of back and forth with Sutton, because I think somebody brought that up in one of the press conferences and that. But again, he's got to kind of let them grow as well. I don't think he wants to put the ball and chain on everybody. I think the personalities have got to come through JM, isn't it? And again, he seems to be a manager that's kind of clued up and all that. He knows when to, as he says, do I need to give him a slap or do I need to put an arm around the shoulder? I mean, so he knows the deal. He knows when to kind of help players and tell players that they're not doing something right as well.
Yeah, 100%. And also being obviously a top professional himself, he'll be aware how it works. I agree with Bridge. I think Cantwell does have to rein it in. He needs to be careful. He's getting himself involved with stuff. If he doesn't get sent off, he may end up missing a big match due to accumulating silly bookings, and that's not going to help us. I think the manager sort of made a subtle hint at half-time in the semi-final when asked why Cantwell was taken off. It was pretty much because he was booked. He knew that Hearts would try and target that in the second half, and I think a bit like in a different way. I mean, I don't think there's only one winner between Morelos and Cantwell in a fight, but I think in a similar way, the way teams targeted Morelos because they're trying to get him a cheap yellow card or a sending off, I think teams will start doing that to Cantwell as well. He sort of made a target. So I think Jaffa said it earlier, just get him back to playing football, and the best way to shush these guys is to score a couple of goals or get an assist or two.
Jaffa, mate.
Yeah, the Todd Cantwell, you can see what's trying to transpire and what the manipulation is behind the scenes with the media, and they'll stoke that, because that's what it was. Morelos, as J.M. was saying there, quite really talking about the comparisons between the two of them, because and before that it was Candias who was the victim, the one they were trying to turn into the guy that was committing tackles and leaving the leg in because he was quite aggressive in his play, and that's just what we're up against at this moment in time in the fishbowl that we live in here in Scotland. And Cantwell needs to be careful, he doesn't, and I would like somebody to take him aside, and whether it's Clement or Alec Ray or somebody, just to explain to him exactly what's actually going on here and what the channel is, what the path is that he's going to walk down. Because the minute they get him in the book for one red card, that'll irk him, and that'll stoke him, and that's the wrong way to go about it. He needs to just step away from it and play his game. They'll nibble at him, and they'll soon stop doing it, and they'll turn their attentions to somebody else. But Todd Cantwell's game will get disrupted because of that. And as J.M. was saying, he lost the second half essentially at Hampden because he got took off because he got booked and he got himself involved in it. And he got taken off on Thursday night for a similar situation. He was getting involved with the substitute that Sparta had brought on in the left wing. And the wee guy was nibbling at him and totally targeted him. And just kept getting in the back of him and leaving a leg in, and he reacted, and he got taken off for the same reason. So I hope Todd doesn't fall into that trap, because it is a trap. It's not Todd's fault. I'm not for a minute. I'm like Bridge, I'm not, and the rest of us. I'm not saying Todd Cantwell's at fault here, but I just don't want him to fall into that trap, and I hope somebody's cute enough to take him aside, whether it's his agent or the guys behind the scenes, and explain to him what's going on, because he's better than that. He's a better footballer than that. He's a fantastic footballer. But that's for the manager to manage, GB, and this is the kind of obstacles that get put in front of us as a club. It's usually, in my opinion, it's outside forces at work, and you just had to turn on the telly on Monday morning, and it was all the penalty stuff that was getting pummeled by social media, and then all the spokesmen start coming out throughout the day about how many penalties, and then all of a sudden they go, wait a minute, that lot of is the same amount of penalties as what we've had. It's just how the narrative gets driven.
Or a certain head injury was getting repeated quite often.
Aye. And I mean, the reality of that is, as far as I understand, there's nothing wrong with the player. That nothing's fine. The player's fine. It was a 50-50 challenge, and for what it's worth, and we're here to talk about Rangers. I thought the guy couldn't have done anything, but I don't think he had any intention to hurt the player. I think the player went down quite dramatically, in my opinion, and he's got form for that, incidentally. That fella. But yeah, anyway, I'm sure Rangers Radio wants to focus on Rangers players.
Yeah, that's it. It's always good debate, and let's say folk feigning injury or going for 50-50 challenges. Anyway, it's getting to that time of the night, so we're going to have a tune.
We are the Rangers FC. We are the people, you better believe. We are together, we're doing the fancy all over the world. We had our troubles, but now they are gone. They tried to kill us, but the Bears we stood strong. We are together doing the bouncy all over the world. Lucia Vibrox for Lancer 3. Follow, follow, and God save the Queen. You'll hear us singing, doing the bouncy all over the world. In Barcelona in 72, we beat the Russians but 3-2. Still celebrating, doing the bouncy all over the world. Glasgow Rangers are back where we belong. Lucia Vibrox, and we're still going strong. We wear our colours, the red, white and blue. We wear them proudly like blue noses do. We are together doing the bouncy all over the world. The pride of Scotland, but that's nothing new. The pride of Glasgow, and Glasgow is blue. We are together doing the bouncy all over the world. To be a blue nose, it fills us with pride. We are united, we'll never divide. We are together doing the bouncy all over the world. Doing the bouncy all over the world. Doing the bouncy all over the world.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972. It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
We all back?
Yep.
All back.
Just made it back through that toilet a bit.
Yeah. We need to speak to the union about the length of the tune.
Poor Jaffa's got to run through halls and everything.
Biscuit tin for me. It was a biscuit tin.
Oh, right, okay. Right, so we'll kind of round up the manager again. For myself, fantastic start. Long may it continue, and like I says, we press on through this international break. And by the way, another player that's going to be coming back for us is young Rabbi Matondo. The boy was on great form before he had that bad injury, and he's another one that can add to that pace and power up front. Jayama?
Yeah, one of the ones a bit like Seaman Tom, one of the only guys that are maybe impressing or showing a bit under Bill. So you never know, you would get a far more competent manager in playing with tactics that maybe utilise him more. Be interested to see a fresh start for Rabbi Matondo as well, hopefully, and maybe another good winger.
Well said. I'll just cut across you, bud. I think that talky Ryan Jack has brought young Andrew in. How are you doing, Andrew?
Good evening, chaps. Aye, Franco, Jack, I'm not going to let that go. Right, that's going out there. Everybody that knows me's getting that, especially the ones that don't like him.
Copy and paste.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Right, well, I just want to change tack a bit. See, we're talking about this player trading model and all that. And, how does this work? I'm just going to ask you a question here. We've got no assets really that we can sell other than Butland and Cantwell. And believe me, I don't think you'd get as much money as you'd think for them two, because anything around about 5 or 6 million, we're prepared to let them go. Whether they or the other side always pick out one or two that go for many millions. We're paying. We haven't got any real good young ones that are coming through, other than the wee boy McCausland that looks like he could make it, and the other boy that they keep talking about, young Lyle. Right. So we're not making them. Nobody's going to want to touch the players we've got. We pay a bigger wage bill than them, right? Which is absolutely shocking, because we've done nothing over the last year. Hopefully under this man we will. But how's that going to work? Because I'm baffled.
Andy, it's a good point. I'll take it around the boys. JM, you first, mate.
Yeah, I think, if you're going on the sort of current players, I agree. Maybe I think that's been one of the criticisms that maybe with an aging squad with Hives, high wages, maybe not as much sell-on value. I think I'd take Todd Cantwell and Butland as separate. If Butland has a season that he looks like he's going to have another couple of seasons, he's a Premier League standard goalkeeper. We'll be able to sell him for what we like, whether it goes for or not. I'm not talking the massive tens of tens, but we'll get good money for him. The young players, it's a tough one, isn't it, about seeing him? You hear academies and that players all the time. We take advantage of the cross-border situation with players. It's hard unless you give these players contracts, but then managers have got to deal with the fact is it's not easy to, bed youngsters into our team because us as Rangers fans aren't patient. So I agree we've not got many obvious assets, but when you think of Bailey Rise, McCausland's playing for us, Lovelace was coming to play for us before he was injured. You never know, McCausland might not have got the chance if Lovelace never got injured. I can't pronounce the young guy's name, but he's done a couple of pre-season friendlies for us, the centre-back. I've seen we've just given him a new contract. Was it only a couple of weeks ago? So we're definitely putting contracts in place for players. I think it's just about trying to boost their sell-on value now, really.
Jay, I'm going to attempt it. I think is it Ufeko? I think that's how you pronounce it.
I think, if we're wrong, we both mean the same player. I just don't want to get it wrong. Yeah, we both mean the same player.
Jaffa, mate, thoughts on player trading model since you've had a wee look at the accounts as well, mate?
I think it's that's a great point, Andy, and probably the kind of most important thing within the accounts, because they are our biggest. That's where all the money is. That's where we're spending all the money on the first team football, the men's football team. So we've got to have assets in there, or else we have got problems. I mean, I get you're saying Cantwell and Butland are probably the standout assets with values. I'm not sure, Andy, what you would get for them on the open market. It's like all of these things. It depends on the buyer and how much they want them. I mean, if Nottingham Forest come in and offer us anywhere with 10 million or 12 million for Jack Butland, we would bite their hand off for it, or even 8 or 9 million, I suspect. And it would probably be similar with Todd Cantwell. I still think there's other assets, Andy, within the first team pool. Nicholas Raskin, I think, is an asset. I think he'd be worth a fair bit of money. I think Rabi Matondo, believe it or not, I think we would probably get a bit of money back for him. It would depend on how the rest of the season goes for Rabi Matondo. If he turns in gets back to the form that he had a number of weeks ago, I definitely think Rabi Matondo would be worth decent money. Barisic is going to leave probably at the end of the season, I suspect, unless he's, as the guy said, he's aging. Ridvan, I know we spent a fair whack of money on him. That's a debate whether we would even get back the money we've spent on him. But and Danilo and Dessers and Lammers, Danilo seems a standout of the three of them. And again, if you look at Danilo, I mean, if we've paid 6 million for him, if we can get Danilo banging in the goals, strikers go for crazy money. Andy, he's Brazilian. He ticks a lot of boxes. That goal he scored the other night, I know to a lot of people it just looked like he robbed the ball off the guy. He didn't. He robbed the ball off the guy, and 3 passes later, it was in the back of the net. 3 touches, I should say, it was in the back of the net. One touch to rob the ball, and 2 touches, one to control it, and one to put it in the back of the net. Brilliant striking. I mean, really brilliant. I think he's going to be worth serious money for us. And the rest of the players, I get that a lot of them are, Scott Wrights of this world, you're not going to get money for him. Tom Lawrence, I don't know, he's been out injured, Andy, so. But I still think there's assets in the team. I think there's assets there. And that's the player trading model. Some of those guys will have to be sold. And it might well be somebody like Ross McCausland signs an extension on a contract, and then somebody, comes in and offers us 5 or 6 or 8 million pounds for them. That's just kind of where we are, because he's only 20 years old. And as a club, we need to keep doing that. Or Todd Cantwell or Jack Butland, for that matter. As hard as that is to hear, but that's just the reality of the situation. Because look what we sold at the end of the season there. We sold Cholak. We sold the young Zambian lad. I can't remember his name, just escapes me.
Sakala.
Fashion Sakala, of course, yeah. We sold him for whatever it was, 5 million. He was a He was a free transfer essentially from Belgium, and we didn't pay anything for him. So we still sold £12 million worth of players at the end of the year last year, which, you know, I guess a lot of people would say they didn't see that coming either. Don't get me wrong, Andy, we still spent £20 or £21 million. So there still was a net spend of about £9 million, which is pretty substantial for a club our size and where we are. But listen, I will agree with you in one thing. We're paying far, and I've said it on the show before, we're paying too much money for players on their wages. We're paying far too much, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, well,
Andy,
just on.
Go on.
Right, Jay, on you go, mate. You answer first, mate. On you go.
No, I've read a bit about the wages as well, but is there anything to say about the wages? I haven't looked into it too much depth, but are the wages saving us money on transfer fees because of our free transfers? Would we be allowed to get certain players like Butland or whatever if we weren't paying these sort of wages? Because we're not, even though I know we've spent a bit of a net spend, we're just not quite. We're not spending as much as others, are we, to get these players in? Butland on the free. I don't know if we would have been able to afford Butland if he was in contract, for example.
No,
I agree with that, Jay.
Andy, your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, look, I get the points there on the younger ones and all that, and they've got to come good, and there's no guarantee in any football. But we've got far too many duds on there that we're going to get nothing for, and have not been getting nothing for in the last 2 or 3 years. So we're thinking on that side. Something's got to be done there. I mean, who's going to pay for it? Let's be honest. Who's going to pay any money for Dezers or Lammers? There's a lot of millions going out on them. We'll not get anything near back what we spent on them. So that's bad judgment. Hopefully this manager comes in and sorts it. It's looking better on the pack. And these players are actually playing for him. I think it's more out of fear than out else, because I don't think he'd tolerate him. I think if they short shift him like they've done with the other players, and that's the problem, we've still got a lot of the guys in that team that if they take a mind, they'll do in tools. I don't think they'll do that with this guy, because I think he'll just drop him straight away. I don't think he'll tolerate that. But it's shocking that we've got the likes of Lammers, Dezers, them two. Anybody can see that they're not going to make it. Even if they're half decent wherever they've come from, and the records are absolutely gash elsewhere, they're not going to make it in Scottish football. You can see that. You've got to have a certain kind of character. Unfortunately for us, we've had these players for a long time, but they don't have the character. We don't. What do? We do all right in Europe, make a bit of money, right? Get the coefficient right up, but we haven't got the boys to stand up and win the National League. If we win the league, we go straight into that Champions League, and then we start making some of that kind of money. That's shocking in itself. So that's serial losers as you look at it. You know, that's what worries me. We've got to get rid of them guys as soon as possible. How we're going to get rid of them, I don't know. That's me done.
No, Andy, you're right. Bridge, on you come in, mate.
The guys are saying some smashing stuff. May I say? I think I touched on Dessers and Lammers and Dessers. They're kind of running joke and have been since we've seen them trying to play football in the first team. This manager's in. Seems to have made a slight difference, a positive difference already on them. Dessa scored a couple of goals, scored on Saturday. I'm not saying they're fabulous goals. I'm not saying anything about them as far as that's concerned. It's the same with Lammers. But they've still got a long way to go. And if there's going to be anything that can be done with them, I'm sure that our manager is just the man that can do it. But sooner or later, like, how can we say it? Like we just said there and now, they're either going to find out that they're no good, or they're going to find out that they really are good, and the manager's going to play them, and they're going to turn good enough for us and start scoring goals and playmaking and building good attacks. These are the kind of things you need to do. I look back to just a couple of seasons ago. We sold, we never sold. We let Ryan Kent walk out the door, and we should have sold him after 2 seasons. He was absolutely a star, particularly in Europe. We should have had him on the market straight away and get the money out of him. Actually, honestly, God, we paid £6.5, £7 million for him or more, and I thought he was a wonderful player for us, and he could turn it on in Europe, and if he can star in Europe If you get into the final, your team, you must be worth a few quid. And that's the truth. We never used it, never used our senses. It shows you who was running us. We weren't doing too well in the running of the club. So the club needs to smarten up. That's the way you make your money. You've got to get your players in, get them playing well, get a season out of them at the top level, and get it sold. And they've got to do it. And to lose out of money, that's Ryan Kent. Like, let's say it was £7 million walked out the door. A player that was in part of the team that went to the final of the Europa League. It's just unbelievable. I don't know any other club in Europe that would have let that happen. Sorry, guys.
Bridget, the sad thing about it, though, is, I mean, the club offered both him and Alfie contracts, so it was the players that decided not to stay.
Truly,
I mean,
truly.
But even at that,
Alfie should have left 2 years earlier, as I say. So should Ryan Kent. They should have been left and out the door for money. We should have taken the bid. See the bid that was in for Alfie, allegedly 11 to 13 million pounds. We should have took it. Simple as that.
Jeff, I think that's the thing that even Linda touched on last night, was that the Alfie and Kent scenario. That again, Gerrard seemingly said to the board at the time that he wanted to keep these players. He wanted to keep them for the following season and stuff like that. So there's been probably a bit of that in amongst it as well. And then again, you can't hold a gun to a player's head. If he's deciding that he wants to run down his contract and take a sign-on fee for another club, then the club are held at ransom. They can only offer what they can only offer in a contract.
I think all of that comes into play, GB, and what the lads are saying there. As far as I understand, my understanding, just to split them up on the Alfie situation, was that the actual bid never arrived. The bid was spoke about, which was why he was allowed to go and agree terms with Lille, I think it was. But the bid didn't actually ever land on the table. It was never firmed up legally, is my understanding. So there was no bid for Alfie. There was a lot of talk about it and a lot of noise, but the bid didn't arrive. Kent was different. I think you're right, GB. I think Gerrard stated quite strictly that he didn't want Ryan Kent going out the door. And when you're a board of directors, I think that's a really difficult situation, because you want to back your manager. You've told him you're going to back him, so you've got to stand shoulder to shoulder with him. That's just the nature of the boardroom, and that's the bit of the boardroom between the dugout and the boardroom that's quite a tricky area. And it's a bit like Clement now. Those conversations have got to be had before he signs on the dotted line, because the reality is, as I said, if a team comes in now for Jack Butland and as I said, a Notts Forest or a Burnley, for example, come in and say they want 10 million quid to these clubs as peanuts, we can't turn that down. And a great example of that is, Bridge, what you're highlighting. What's happened with Ryan Kent, because he's walked out the door, like I said, walked out the door. Because in reality, although Steven Gerrard said he didn't want him to leave, 6 or 7 weeks later, Gerrard's on a train down to London to go and sign for Aston Villa. And that's just football for you. It's a really difficult business. One that I'm glad I don't work in, to be perfectly honest with you, but because I think that stuff would do your head in. But that's just the reality of the situation and where we are. And I think the one thing that we've learned out of all of this is I don't think we can ever let assets like that walk out the door for nothing. If they're worth money, we've got to try and maximise that, going back to the point Andy's making about the player trading model. It is so important to the club, and it's so important to moving forward. None of us wanted to sell Calvin Bassey or the young boy Patterson, but the reality is it's just the nature of the beast nowadays. That you've got to do it. You've got to keep that side of the money moving, Gary.
No, I agree, mate. I agree. I'll just cut across you, bud. I think we've been joined with Smith. Are you there, Smith, mate?
Hi, mate. How you doing, lads? He's good.
Very well, mate. Again, another Rangers win at the weekend. So the machine, as Clement says, keeps moving on, mate.
Just a wee point which we're making there, and I don't necessarily disagree with it, but when they're developing some players, right? Let's say it's a Patterson or we bring Bassey in for a cross-border fee, which is peanuts, and we develop them on, and they get into the first team, and they're doing well, and they're still young. We seem to be taking the first, the first bit of interest we sold to two guys. I know we've got to keep the wheels turning or whatever, but do you think, like, with young boys like that other than what it's cost to put them through the academy, or the 350 grand it costs to get Bassey in or whatever, do you think we should be holding on to them and trying to sell the guys that we actually shelled out? Just like Bridge was saying there, sizable fee for Ryan Kent. We let him go for nothing, but then it costs us a lot of money. And then you've got guys that cost us peanuts, but we're managing to sell them, and maybe they're the assets we should be holding on to. Maybe not with Bassey because of the ridiculous sums involved, but certainly with Patterson.
I'll take it around the guys. For me personally, I think it's hard to turn down, especially how poor our league funds is, Smurf, that it's hard for us to turn down £12 million for a player. JM, your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I agree with you, Joe. I just don't think we can turn down that sort of money. I get maybe what Smurf's saying there in regards to, because, the players are younger, so maybe add more value to the team for longer and maybe help us to win more things. But using them two examples, we got 20 odd million for Euros for Bassey. Realistically, great, good player for us. But he had a purple 6 months, didn't he? A purple patch. Before Gio came in, he wasn't even featuring a centre back. The next minute, he's one of Euro's hottest prospects going to Hollis. Couldn't turn that down. What did Patterson? I think Patterson didn't play much more than 20 games for us, and we're being offered silly money like £16 million. I think it's just really hard to turn it down. I understand what you're saying. Like, if we gave McCausland a contract and we think he's good, if somebody comes in, I don't know, say it's 5 to 10 million because of the contract and the fees, you'd be saying, he's a good player, we'll let him go. But I think you just have to look at the accounts, the structure, and we just can't afford to do that. We've got to shop elsewhere, make profit and shop elsewhere, and just keep trying to turn these sort of players over. That's my opinion anyway.
So how can the club be so alive to that, what you've just said, and switched on to that, but then go and spend $7 million on a guy and let him go for nothing?
That's where the model's got to improve, hasn't it? You can't be buying Kent. The conversation, we seem to have been doing our conversations a year too late, the summer before they can go on a free in January. That, I know it's hard to do in hindsight, but in hindsight, them conversations need to be done 2 years before, don't they? Because we need to know if we're selling them the next summer. Because if you get to that summer, people like Lundstrom, Lundstrom could be walking out the door in January for signing for a club. We don't know this. We've got 7 or 8. We're letting a lot of players that we're still key to our squad that can sign contracts will look to move to other clubs in January. We can't allow that to happen again. What happened with Morelos and Kent, that's for sure.
And that's the thing. To protect the club, you can. Sorry, on you go.
No, Smurf, finish, mate. On you
go. So you protect the club. You maybe want to get a guy in on a 3-year deal, right? Because you might end up a Lammers or a Dessers, right? And you don't want him hanging around too much. There's can't get rid of him. He's got another 18 months in his contract or something. So, but by the same token, to get 3 years out of a player, you really need a 5-year contract to protect yourself. And it's a difficult thing to navigate, really. But what really irks me is the managers come in. He's turned things around. He's won't take any nonsense, etc., etc. You see that they've got a clear vision. They're playing a certain fashion, and they're executing it. Everybody's switched on and in gear. And then you look at the comments, like, for instance, the famous comment about the cryo chamber and stuff like that. Why is people like Cav, your captain, why is he as a captain allowing Standards to slip behind the scenes like that? There's so many questions. You've got Ryan Jack, you've got John Lundstrom out of contract at the end of the season. All of a sudden they're playing out their skin, or they're certainly improved, and they're trying to win contracts. I don't know. I think we maybe don't have the money to go and splurge and bring a load of players in again, but I just think it's about time we moved a load of them on, if we can, and maybe cut our losses on a few. I don't know what you think.
I'll take it to Andy. Andy, your thoughts, mate?
I totally agree with that. It's see, like, if we start getting assets coming through, sometimes, right, we've got to be brave other than what we've done in the past year. Like, if you get 3 or 4 assets that are good, you need to keep them for 1 or 2 years. And if they do well and they start winning these leagues, the price is going to go right up. Once you get it right on the pack, everything else follows. It's not we're going backwards way around in what we're doing here. We're getting Edmiston House and all these Sky Lounges and all that. We're going backwards way around. We should be starting on the pack, and that's by getting talent in a decent team that can hold its own. We've been told by everybody out there that football's garbage. We're in a 2-team league, and we're not touching them. All we're doing is going getting the coefficient up and letting them just waltz in without really a challenge. Like I say, hopefully Clement's going to do that. It's going to get into heat. But you can't just say, right, oh, this guy comes in like a Patterson, right, oh, it's 8 or 9 good games out like that. And they have to grow into a Rangers team. How do we go forward if we stay with the duds that we've got? Right, they're getting older now, so they will have to be moved on. But how do we go forward if we don't bring any of our own through and let them breathe and grow in the team and take Rangers back to where we believe we should be? That's just my problem. It's stupidity. Now, look, if you're getting a 15, 16 million, I've got that. Right, that sorts you out. But if we don't bring any assets at all here, we've run at a small loss again. We're being told that 80 million is not enough. We're going to go back down the slide again. We're going to go millions into debt. So for me, I don't know. We must start believing that we've got some good youngsters. Don't just sell them straight away, right? What incentive does it give them boys as well? Some of them are Rangers. They have to want to play for the club. You do all right. You have 12 or 16 good games. You're out the door. Hey, Patterson didn't want to go. Listen, Brady's statement after it. He didn't want to go, but he was told he had to go. I get all that. But we have to start getting players now that understand the club as well. And I think with Clement, he's said this is a proper club. He's in there. He's looking at every nook and cranny. You know what I mean, to get it right. He wants success. He's got a track record for bringing youngsters through. He likes to work with them. He keeps telling you, don't care if they're 21 or 31. But I'm pretty sure he'll understand that what they've been told, if the player model carry on and all that. But I'm pretty sure if he's got 3 or 4 starlights sitting there, along with his other players, he'll want to keep them as well and try and grow the team for a couple of years. With what we've got, we ain't bringing 2 and 3 through that ranks every season. So that's going to leave us a problem, because if we get rid of Butland and we get rid of Cantwell, then we've got no assets. Raskin, I'm not sure. He hides too much. You know what I mean? So you couldn't say that. I don't think you get great money. What he will have to do, I will say this, because he's maintained that, right, I'm only here to go to the English Premier League. Well, he had to help his game a hell of a lot. He was wanting a big move to the English Premier League.
I need to learn to basketball.
Here, aren't we? Aye, definitely. I mean, the Belgian bullet? No chance. Whoever nicked in that, you know what I mean? He's learning. But I hope he gets better. But he'll not play no big English Premier League. Not the top 6 anyway. But
I'll jump in.
Yeah.
I'll just cut across just because we joined me on our call. I think we've been joined with Joanna. Are you there?
Hi, hello everybody. Jaffa, Bridgman, Gary, JB, Smith, and Big Andy is back.
If you say Big Andy, you got it wrong if you said Big Andy.
Okay, sorry. Andy from Leeds is back.
That's all right. You had me worried then.
That's the one.
Joanna, what's your thoughts tonight?
So I have a few. So my question is, how do we improve the defense moving forward? But before I let you answer that question, I want to say my thoughts about what we're talking just now, because I know that probably you guys going to take your time answering the question. So I just think that, for example, Dessers is a player. He's 26. So we sold, or I don't know if we actually got any money for Morelos, but we sold Morelos. Morelos was 26. How long it took us to find a place to to put Morelos in, and then we get Dessers, which okay, and then he's the same age as Morelos, and then he's getting a contract for 4 years. So I don't know a lot about football, but in football years, 26 is too old for a football player. So to sell Dessers after 4 years, it will be, so he will be 30. So I'm not sure if that's a good product for other football teams, or how is that seen for other football teams. So, and then when you think about the players that we sign, and I'm not gonna slag Michael Beale or anything, because we've been happy winning and everything, but I'm looking forward to the window to see what.
Oh, you still there, Joanna? I think we just lost her. I think at the end of the day, it's all about trying to keep the wins going, especially. We need to go deep into Europe, because let's face it, that's how Bassey got sold. It wasn't because he played in the SPFL. It was because he showed his talents up through Europe, and teams wanted to take a punt on him because that's where they say they could compete.
No, that's where they get the showcase, isn't it? And we probably lost Joanna because she's actually speaking some sense. We're not used to that on this, are we? People speaking sense. Don't know who's going to sign Dessers when he's 30 years of age. He can barely run now, can he? So it'll be an interesting one when we try and shift him. But yeah, I think that's the attraction of our club as well to some of these players, isn't it? That they're going to get the opportunity. Look at Bassey. Obviously, Patterson wasn't. He got a chance as well to show himself in Europe as well, scored a goal. So it's an opportunity for these players to come into our club and say, look, we can progress in Europe, latter stage of the Europa League, put yourself on the market, and, a Premier League club will come calling for you.
Is that you back, Joanna?
I was cut off.
Oh, well, no, it is. So you were just saying about Dessers, obviously, but do you want me to take the question around the panel?
Yes, please.
Right, so fire away with it then. Go and fire a question out there so the listeners can hear it.
Oh,
you there?
Do you want me to ask again?
Yeah, just because you got cut off.
Okay, so the two questions are, one, how can you improve the defense? And second, what is the place for the young players who are coming in to the team? Are they going to be the first team, like, for example, Beko, Lovelace, Rice? Is there any place for them in the team?
I'll take the easy one first, which is the defence, and I'll take that to Jaffa. Jaffa, I don't think we really need to worry with the defence now.
No, but it's always. I think it's always an area you can't rest on your laurels, GB and Joanna. I mean, obviously, we've got essentially three players in there: Barisic, Golson, and Tavernier, who are all. Barisic is 31, Golson's 30, and Tavernier's 31 as well. So they're aging. So we're not, whether we get another season out of them if we want to take that gamble, or whether we start essentially bleeding them out. I don't think Barisic will be there next year, Joanna, so we're going to have to improve on the defence. Whether Ridvan's the answer, I don't know about that. I'm not sure. He's a bit too fragile for me. And he's very, very small. And again, I don't know whether we signed him because he was the same height as Ross Wilson or smaller. So he wasn't the weakest guy in the club. But that's I'm being flippant. I mean, Ben Davies, again, John Suter look good on bits and bobs. Not had a consistent run of games. Neither is Ben Davies. Golson still is the stalwart, but you can't. Golson's not. I mean, he's not long signed a 4-year contract. I mean, I think we're only 12 months into a 4-year contract. He's got 3 years left at the club. So he's going to be around for a bit, and so we're going to have to improve the defence. And I still think there's room for improvement in there. The left back area worries me, so that would be my answer on that. I would still like to see a bit of work done on the defence.
Just cut across, we've been joined with the legend as well of Bob J. How are we doing, Bob J?
Hi everybody, how you doing? I've been listening to the show. some great points she's made. Joanna, you're right enough. I've said it, but I've said it more than a few times. I think that Taverner, Golson, and Barisic have been there too long. It's about time they were starting to get replaced. And Yilmaz, nah, I don't think he's the answer either. He's not a good enough wee football player, but not strong enough. And the general economics of the thing of football is like every other business. It survives. It survives on its what's the word I'm looking for, boys? It survives on its money, on its economics. And Rangers aren't any different. And the minute we get a duel, he's going away to that Premier League. It's how we handle it. We haven't handled it very well recently. E.g. Billy Gilman. We can't afford to let that happen again. We had a duel there and we let him go for nothing. Morelos, different thing. He gave up the ghost. How can you give up the ghost playing with Rangers? He did. He knew the position he was in with his contract. Kent was the same. Can't let a situation like that happen again. The club must go forward and make money. We must get somebody in, a director of football or a director of economics. I don't know. As I've said to Ox and people on the show, I'm not much up on economics, but I'm aware of what Rangers are all about. And we must find a way to make a lot of money, because everybody in their granny in the football world now is making money out of that English Premiership. We're next door to it, and we've got to do the same. If we get a jewel, it's got to be sold for a colossal amount of money. And I mean colossal. And it's happening all the time.
Budge, I've got to take the point on the defence to Bridgeman. Bridge, obviously, we're talking about the defence and about time we move players on, but the thing is Andy's pointed out as well, that the money needs to be there for us to move players on, and we've no got vast amounts of money to bring in the same quality. I mean, as much as Golson and Tav have got their critics, I mean, can we honestly say we're going to go out there and replace their talents right away? We're trying to challenge for titles, which everybody's shouting for. So there's got to be a balance there, I think.
If you look at it genuinely, the two of the chaps that I mentioned there, Goldson and Tavernier, I don't think we're going to sell them. I doubt very much if anybody would give you any money for them, simply because of their age, to be honest. So the chances are they're there for good, unless you go out there and do a bit of bargaining yourself and get them. But I mean, Tab, you've got what? He's worth 15 goals a season, just on average. You're not going to. You're only giving it away. Don't do that. You would keep Golson because Golson's a rock. Generally a rock for you. But you need to get somebody in with him. That's what you need to do. Some of the guys there are doing no bad. Balogun and even Davis do well. And when Suter's in, Suter does no bad as well. But no bad is no good.
Hello.
Rangers.
Bridge, I'll just cut across you there. Big House just came in.
Hey, give me 2 minutes. I'm going to go and sit. I'm going to go and get my AirPods.
Right there. So give a nudge when you come back.
Can I just say then? I'll finish up quickly on that. I don't think we're going to move anywhere with Goldson and Tav, but they've signed good extensions to their contract, and they have been good servants for us. In my opinion, it's only my opinion. And we need Golson to not be so, shall we say, do more work on the pitch. But we saw him starting to move up, and he's getting good passes in. He wasn't doing that not that long ago. I think he's a smashing player for us, and I think Tab's the same. But both of them need help. We need good midfield players to be able to support Tab, and we need a really good centre half to support Golson. A huge big left-footed centre half, about 6 feet 5, 6 feet 6. Let's go to town on everybody. That's what I say.
Andy, you're there, but I think the thing is, we do want to move players on. We want better talent come in, and then I do agree that Clement is the guy that's probably got to be able to spot a player, and hopefully with a technical director coming in as well, he'll be able to help with that. But as a fresh kind of slate, and we're going to have to kind of bide our time. I think it's not going to be as easy just to move players on, especially when they're under contract, etc. So do we just go with the status quo now and we just try and move them on as and when?
Yeah, right. I think we go to the end of the season with the back line, no option on that right enough, and then he looks at it in the summer, right? They fought another 3 years with Golston, and Barisic will be away. I think he could be away in January. Not down here, there's a big murmurings that Nottingham Forest are wanting him. So if that comes together, good. Let's have it. Ridvan's a problem. Not that he can't play, but every man in his dog's got to stick it on top of his napper. He can't win a ball in the air. So he could be a problem going forward. Davis plays okay, and then in real big games, 9 times out of 10, he shits it, for one or another one. Tavernier, I think.
That's a yellow card, Andy.
Aye. Well, he's an orange one as well. So I don't like yellow. I'll take for an orange.
Is that Ryan Jack's having a bit of an Indian summer? Will he sign for Liverpool this January?
I don't know, but he's playing for. Hang on, Big Al. I don't know about Liverpool, but he's playing for Clement at the moment, isn't he? So let's put it that way.
Well, is he? Is he? Is he?
He's getting in the team, isn't he? He's getting in the team, isn't he?
I think horses for courses and needs must. I think.
Aye, well, that's okay.
The first part of the show, I was kind of panicking a bit because I was hearing I thought ones were going to say they're going to get new contracts. Ryan Jack, your Lundstroms, your Davies. I'd agree with the guys that brought up Yilmaz as well. I think he should shoot the craw. These guys, only a few weeks ago, were getting pilloried. They're still the same players. They might have upped their game 10%, 15%, but they are not the players that we must move forward with. I think the manager will know that. As I said, it's horses for courses at the moment. None of these players, Tavernier, Goldson, were kind of snookered with they two. Whoever thought about getting them 4-year contracts with smoking the cannabis. So there's a couple of players we've got issues with in regards to getting them out of contracts. Roof, there's another one. You know what I mean? I think the players that we brought in the summer, but he's going to have to give them a go. I don't think we can move them onto it, but he has to bring in his own players and players that. And I think with the type of manager he seems to be coming across as, I think he's got to bring in that kind of type of player as well. So I think that's good. Your Dowell boy, we've not seen much of him. Lawrence might come back. He might do as a trick. He might not. So far, the couple of glimpses we've seen him. And in regards to the young players, there's nobody on this radio station for the last 10 years that I've been on this radio station has screamed out more for to play these young players. Now, I think it's difficult. I think we should be playing our young players and getting them in the team. But if we get an offer that's a good offer and makes financial sense to the club, they have to go. It's as simple as that. That's the kind of thing we're in. But I do agree we should be trying to hang on to players, or we sell them and we say they stay with us for another year or so. You know, that kind of, he plays with us for another year. We'll sell them to clubs, but we keep them. Think smarter. You know what I mean? So that was just the kind of points I wanted to.
Is it Big Al? Is it
yes.
Maybe, like you say, if we sell on like a kind of youngster or whatever, that we maybe look within our own league and try and go for a low risk replacement, and then that way, if he develops, then it's a win-win. But if he doesn't, then it's an easy move on kind of thing.
No. We've tried that. Remember that young boy Hasty was at Motherwell? No, I believe in developing our own. I mean, if you spend the time for the young boy who's 12, 13, 14, 15 and he progresses, I mean, is there not enough talent at the training centre that can be pushed, that can be moulded into players? Because if it's no, you know what to do, just rip up the training centre and don't have any other teams, just have the first team. Because if it's not working for us there and it's not producing a player or two season in, season out, to me it's not viable unless they look at it and they sell some of these players. Like the young boy that went to Kilmarnock, he went to Kilmarnock on a free, is that right?
Aye, that's right, aye. Mm-hmm.
Right, okay. So last year when he was still on a bit of a contract for us or whenever, or like 18 months ago or whatever, like I think kind of Smurf, no often he's right, but I totally kind of agree with him tonight, is we should be looking at that point. If we don't think he's going to progress within the next 18 months and make no push for the first team, actually make the first team, well, we then have to sell that to the lower, sell these types of players to the lower leagues to generate revenue. If it's 100 grand, 200 grand, it's still, you know what I mean, it's generating revenue. And then you might get your Parsons, young boy that's in the team at the moment, like, you know, them coming through who are actually going to be viable prospects for the first team, but also monetary value. We can sell them for 5 or 6 million in 2 or 3 seasons. Yeah. Yep.
Smurf, I think, I honestly don't think it's just limited to the first team with these player trading models. I think we've got to look at even, let's say, the women's team. There was that year that they won the title. As soon as they won the title, a lot of the players were out of contract and left on frees. I think one of them's playing for Chelsea's women's team down there. I mean, there's money to be made all the other club, and we've got to be a bit smarter, Smurf.
Aye, well, it's you mentioned Chelsea there. Chelsea signed up everybody, all that reserve league stuff and the cups and all that. They swept it up down in England for a long time, and developed players and sold them on for 2s and 3s and 4 millions. And that was bringing in an enormous revenue stream. Man City did it. We should be doing that as well. But the thing is, if they're in our reserve, our sort of youth development setup, then generally, where is it you're going to sell them? You're not going to sell them to a Scottish club because none of them's get any money. They don't pay transfer fees up here. So what you're left with? You're left with a situation that in principle, I agree with you, but I don't think it's possible because I don't know where you're selling them. They're not selling them to England because if they were that good, they'd come and take them away anyway. Like they done with Billy Gilmore. Can't hold on to Billy Gilmore. He was only a wee boy. He was only 15 and he wanted to go, so he went. So these guys were that good. They wouldn't already. They wouldn't be here. So it's very hard because it's for the same reason we pay over the odds and wages. You've got to pay a bonus on top, if you like, for them to come to the league because it's dire. So it's hard. But I mean, the premise of what you're saying is absolutely spot on. We've got to be better all over the club, and we've got to sort of rinse whatever money we can and get value everywhere. And Big Al's right. The same as what you're saying about the women's team. Sell where you can, but it's who you're going to sell it to. Who you going to sell them to?
Jaffa, I think even going back to the Ryan Kent point, it's all well and good saying that we need to move players on, but I mean, who was actually coming in for Ryan Kent at any point in time? If they really wanted them, they would have pushed for the money. I mean, let's face it, the English Premier League, 5 million, 7 million of them's no much. They could have took the risk at any point that they wanted to, and Rangers again could have accepted it. I mean, it's end of the day that I think the player was quite happy.
Sorry, I'm just going to hang up, but a wonderful show again, gentlemen. Keep up the good work. And Ryan Kent set the heather on fire in Turkey, right enough, eh?
Absolutely.
Aye, that's it.
All right, take care.
Cheers, Al. Thanks, man.
I think it's always a difficult, it's a really tricky balancing act, and that's what it is because, I mean, for example, we're talking about guys like Ryan Kent who was established in our team. So we had you're right, GB, we had offered him an extension to his contract. Ryan Kent made it abundantly clear going into the last 12, 14 months of his contract that he wasn't. Well, he kept us hanging on. And listen, the club are no stupid when that happens. If you're not going to sign it, that means you're planning to leave. So they essentially ran down his contract. And Smurf's right about that. There's a magic window, I think, with players. And it's usually if they've signed a 4-year contract, it's between year 2 and year 3. And if they're not prepared to commit themselves further to the club, and I have to be honest with you, I think professional footballers nowadays become really stale really quickly. And we've been victims of that, and we've been guilty of hanging on to players for too long, where we should have sold them on, like Morelos, like Kent. We should just have made it abundantly clear the time was up and we were going to move them on. Where we hung on to them for too long, and we ended up we couldn't realise the value in the player. But yet at the other end of the scale, we're talking about guys, young fellas like Ross McCausland. Now, I know this, and I'm sure other people know this. Arsenal have been all over Ross McCausland for about the past 6 months. So they've been up watching him. They've been sending scouts to watch him. So that's the kind of pressure the club's under. But the young fella at that point, he's only broken into the first team. I mean, it was only last year we had a young fella that was breaking through at age 15, Rory Wilson, you might remember. And these scouts from England, as Big Al quite rightly says, are all over these young guys. That, you know, that if they know there's a decent player to be had up in Scotland, they're up and they're out with the cash, you know, out with the checkbooks, flashing money at them. Not just flashing money at them, flashing money at their families. And money like we simply don't have, and neither could we afford. So it's a really tricky position. If young Ross McCausland agrees to sign an extension or a 4-year contract with us, then if you know, I'm quite sure his agent will probably want guarantees on this. If he stays with us for the next 2 years, like Smith's been saying, and if you can get John Lee Yefoko and you can get Bailey Rice and you can get a crowdie of 4 of these young players to commit their future to us, then I think the club are doing as best as they possibly can. Get them in the first team, develop them, and as the player trading model states, I'm afraid those players will probably have to be sold on if they realise their potential and why we've given them a 4-year contract. It's a kind of sad reality, and I'm not saying I agree with it, but it's just kind of where we are as a football club.
Joanna, that's the thing as well. It's hard to convince a player, like, as much as Rangers might get offered maybe 8 million for a player, and it's down to the English Championship, they might not want to leave. They might want to dig their heels in and just see out their contract and wait for a better offer.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You don't have to change players so quickly. You have to have a kind of a base or a ground or an essence in the team, you see. So you need to have a Rangers team, and you don't need to move the players as quick as we kind of think we have to, in my opinion anyway. So it's just strategic players, or getting players on loan and things like that. And because I don't think, even though we probably do make a lot of money selling players, there's a lot other places that now we are also having revenue from. So the museum is there, Edmondson House is there, and the lounge, the Blue Lounge is there. The tickets are there. So there's the kids, which, by the way, the last one is really nice. I want to get it. So there's other ways to get revenue. Obviously, the players is one of the things that kind of push the team as well, because the players will make the difference in the goals and winning and all that. So that's why it's important. But you essentially need to have a group of players that are the actual team. Like, for example, when we lost Alan McGregor, we were like, "Oh, who's going to be in the dressing room putting up the values of the club?" And when we lost Jimmy Bell as well, there are certain things that you don't need to change. That's my point. You see, but there's other things that you kind of need to we need to do this because we need to get revenue in the club. That's my point.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anyway, I'm going as well. I'll keep listening, okay?
Right. Thanks very much for your call. Much appreciated.
Bye-bye.
Take care. But Bob Jarrett, I think that's the thing. Come on, well, he'll look at the squad and he'll see where it needs fixed first. I mean, as much as we're winning and stuff like that now, I think he will prioritise certain positions. But for me, as it stands now, considering we're challenging for cups and titles still, I can't see him, like I says, wanting to change that back line too much. I think he'll go with what's there now, and like I says, it's going to be, as we've been doing with the blueprint, it's going to be transfer window after transfer window. I think we can only strengthen as we keep getting to these windows, and hopefully we can move players on as and when.
Well, we're all cautiously optimistic that Clement's going to raise the standard to a level that it's not been for a long time. That's the outlook for us. Who he ends up with playing for the club at the end of the day through the various transfer windows, it's anybody's guess. And he's just in the door, and we'll have to give the man a chance to manage the club up to his specifications, because it's going to take time. The days of the discussions have been brilliant tonight, by the way. as they always are, the days of the one club, man, Davy Cooper, John Gregg, Sandy Jardine, they're long gone. If a young boy's getting a big fat pie packet put on him, he's going to take it. That's just the way the life is, never mind football. So he's hoping Mr. Clement, as I say, can raise the bar of the club and get us really challenging, get us winning trebles again, get us going deep into Europe again. Don't even forget, we're just at a European final, which is a magnificent achievement. We've done it once, we can do it again. So good luck to Mr. Clement in his quest. He must have known what he was walking into when he took the job. As you said earlier on, he must have had it all put down to him and explained to him about the economics of the club. So I think the outlook's quite good for Rangers. I'm sure you all agree there. And I'm going to sign out and on. Thank you very much indeed. Rangers Radio once again.
Take care, Bob. Jeff, thanks very much, mate.
You take care. I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye now.
Andy, your final thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, I think the trick is that Clement's got to find a team, a spine in his team that he can, keep it together for a couple of years, maybe 3 years, and then the guys that are coming in or the trade guys are all that they're talking about trading on, then you move them along. But in the meantime, while he's doing that or he's having to do that, they come across, you keep the spine of the team. So nothing really is affected, if you get what I mean. You put the players around the spine. As Souness did, if you remember all them years back. He says, get me a spine, and then if you watch Souness, he kept bringing people in. A couple of years or a year, didn't fancy to move somebody else on, but he always kept the spine. And that is what I'm hoping Clement will do. And I think that's his attitude. I think he's a proper old-time manager in the modern game, if you get what I mean. And you never know, it might work. And look, he's in the door. It's encouraging what he's doing, isn't it? I mean, these players, as I've said earlier on, never kidded the fact that every time I've been on, we know what they're about. We know they'll down tools if they don't feel like it. But I don't think, wherever they're around at Rangers, he will allow that to happen, because I think he wouldn't play them, even if he'd nobody, of any great note in the background. I don't think he'd tolerate that. So you might just get a few of them. I still think are on the last hurrah. I think they'll be away come the end of the season. You might just get them wanting to go out, winning a couple of trophies, hopefully claw back into that league. But come on, let's get it done. We know the worries there. The worries there, on my side is the money. We're saying 80 million's not good, and where's the assets coming? And you can only go backwards, as I said, and I will stick by that. I get all this people sitting on the contract and that, but let Clement now, and it's about Rangers going forward. So thanks for having us.
Cheers, Andy. Thanks, mate. Smurf, final thoughts quickly, mate.
Aye, quickly. So I think player trading model. Everybody's sort of banging on, get players in, get them out, big money. It doesn't always work out, and I think there's a cultural element to it. I think boys that are from the west of Scotland or understand, what we're about, and are Rangers fans, like young Patterson coming in. I think it's an act of folly. You get your 12 million and you sell them on, and you're left with a problem. How do you replace him? Because he's never been replaced. So I think if you can hold on to these boys a wee bit longer, just a wee bit braver, and the guys that are foreign, that aren't schooled in the culture, your Kamaras and the likes of that, you get money for them. They've no emotional tie. Take the money and get them out, and I think it's a balance overall. Anyway, I'm off, guys. I'll catch you later.
Well said, mate. Thanks, Smurf. Thanks for joining us. Jaffa, mate, final words, bud?
Thanks for having me on, GB, and good to be on with JM and Bridge. Always brilliant to be on Rangers Radio, and we are the people, mate.
Well said, mate. JM, mate, your final thoughts?
Yeah, thanks for tonight, guys. Really enjoyed it. Loads of great callers there. Enjoyed it, and just looking forward to the couple of weeks that I'll get this stupid international window out of the way.
Bridgeman.
What can I say? Marvellous night, guys. Thank you very much for having us on. Well done to yourself and the techie boys in the background looking after us. And of course, Jaffa and JM for carrying me through the show. And just say to all the Rangers fans all over the world, particularly Rangers fans on here on Rangers Radio, obviously there's a big 2-week break. hope that Mr. Clement is doing the necessary with the players and making sure he gets them as fit as possible and ready for the rest of the season, because there's huge amount of games coming up. They're going to come tumbling at us. So we're really looking forward to that. Let's see how we go on and keep clean sheets all the time. Keep it going for the Rangers, everybody, because the Rangers need us. And don't you forget it. Keep it going.
Well said, Bridge. Can I just say a big thanks to the callers, Andy, Smurf, Joanna, Bob Jer and Big Al. Brilliant points tonight. Thanks for phoning in, much appreciated. Big thanks to the Three Musketeers tonight, JM, Jaffa and Bridge. Big thanks to the boys in the technicals, Old School Blue and Fox, and a big thanks to Ox on the phones. This has been Rangers Radio. We'll join you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock talking about all things Rangers. Good night.